After the appointment of Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, officials in Tehran declared that they are ready for a prolonged war with the United States, and, if necessary, they are ready to expand the war and attack new countries until the assault on Iran stops. Since there are practically no signs of improvement, the economic consequences of the war have worsened. As a result, global oil prices have exceeded $100 per barrel for the first time since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. In this episode, we'll discuss the main outcomes of the 10th day of the war in the Middle East, briefly but to the point. I'm Alexei Pechi. Let's discuss this together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, like the video, leave any comment under this episode, and subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as soon as it comes in. So, the key news is the appointment of a new supreme leader of Iran. The key centers of power in Iran, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, quickly rallied around Mojtaba Khamenei, and after he was chosen as the successor to his assassinated father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as the new supreme leader of the country. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has already sworn allegiance and declared that it is ready to carry out all orders of the new leader without question. At the same time, Mojtaba himself is considered a supporter of a hardline radical stance. US President Donald Trump called the appointment of Mojtaba a big mistake. Politicians say that the rise of Mojtaba indicates the continuity of his father's hardline policy, which consists of an eternal war against the US and Israel. Meanwhile, the only one who congratulated Iran on electing a new leader was Russian President Vladimir Putin. On Monday, he sent a letter to Khamenei confirming Moscow's support. When asked whether the new supreme leader is a target, Israel's foreign ministry replied, quote, "You'll have to wait and see." But the news about Mojtaba is overshadowed by another story. Right now, politicians are considering options to resolve the biggest crisis in oil market history. The head of the International Monetary Fund warned about global inflation risks and said she advises politicians to prepare for the unthinkable. The finance ministers of the G7 countries met today on Monday to discuss the potential joint release of strategic oil reserves. Asian and European markets plummeted, while oil futures surged sharply, but Trump dismissed concerns, calling the rapid rise in oil prices a very small price to pay for the war. He also stated that everyone panicking over the sharp rise in oil prices is, an idiot. South Korea is imposing fuel supply restrictions for the first time in nearly 30 years amid rising global tensions, which points to a real problem. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is holding talks with foreign partners on how to reduce the economic impact of the conflict, which London is urging to de-escalate. In Bangladesh, all universities and schools have been closed since Monday, as 95% of the country's energy is supplied by imports. At the same time, Indonesia, the world's largest producer of palm oil, is ready to return to the idea of producing B50 fuel. This is a blend in which half is biodiesel based on palm oil and the rest is regular diesel. In short, it's a mixture. China has instructed its refiners to suspend signing new fuel export contracts and will try to cancel already agreed shipments. Serbia has suspended the export of oil and petroleum products and so on. In short, that's not all. These are not all the examples of how the war has affected the whole world. At the same time, a high-ranking Iranian official stated that the Iranian government is ready for a prolonged war with the United States. And he made it clear that this government is ready to continue attacking Arab countries along the Persian Gulf. Kamal Karazi, who is a foreign policy advisor to the office of Iran's supreme leader, ruled out diplomatic measures at this time, and he stated that the war will only end with economic losses, which indicates a hardening of the government's position. And he added that Iran is ready to plunge the whole world into poverty and inflation, but will not back down. Meanwhile, the war is indeed expanding. The Turkish Ministry of Defense stated that NATO air defense systems have already shot down a second Iranian ballistic missile as it entered Turkish airspace. Time The Gulf countries have reported interceptions and nighttime strikes, including Bahrain, which stated that at least 32 people were injured as a result of an Iranian drone attack on a residential area. The Bahrain National Oil Company reported an attack from Iran and a halt in operations. There was also a warning sign for the Saudis. In particular, the US State Department ordered its diplomats to urgently leave Saudi Arabia. New details have also emerged about the attack on the school on the first day of the war. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stated that the United States of America is still investigating the strike on the Iranian elementary school, which resulted in the deaths of at least 168 children. He made this statement after new video footage appeared to confirm that the US airstrike targeted a naval base located right next to the school. Here, I'll specifically attach this satellite photo, which clearly shows that the school is actually located next to the military base. In Iran itself, they are predicting a new stage of the war. A high-ranking Iranian official stated that there is no prospect of an immediate end to the conflict. He said that Israel's attacks on oil and fuel depots have moved the war to a new stage. The official threatened strikes on energy infrastructure. The official expressed concern about possible further disruptions at regional oil and gas facilities, hinting that they would strike not only at Israel and not even mainly at Israel, but would continue to target the Gulf countries. A representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs added on Monday that Iran is not interested in negotiations while it is under fire. Meanwhile, citizens of Iran are trying to flee the country. Members of the Iranian women's national football team are safe under police protection and are seeking asylum after fleeing their hotel in Australia, where they were participating in the Women's Asian Cup. As a result, there have been calls for local authorities in different countries to shelter Iranians who have already left the country since they face persecution at home. Time for persecution. Trump and administration officials are trying to dispel concerns about rising gas prices, which have increased by almost 50 cents or about 17% since the start of the war. То есть, да, бензин в Америке подорожал. Here is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who called the rise in gas prices a short-term disruption. Senate Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has called on Trump to use the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve into the oil reserve for gasoline. Ситуации для того, чтобы снизить цены на энергоносители. Meanwhile, the U.S. has announced the death of the 7th American serviceman in this war. This is 26-year-old U.S. Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington. He died on Sunday, a week after being wounded at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Share your opinion and conclusions regarding the US and conclusions in the comments below this episode, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and don't forget to like. If you found this episode interesting and useful, you can support the work of this YouTube channel financially. You can do this through your donation or subscription using the links and details in the description of this video, or by using the QR code on your screen. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.